Mr. Chairman, I think I'm going to start my question from submissions made by your office. It has to do with, let me start first from recoveries from 2003 to 2014.
From 2000 what?
From 2003 to 2014.
Yes.
Let me look for the document and then pass to you. Yeah, let me remind you that you're still under oath.
Yes.
So I'll send you the summary for 2003 to 2014. How much was recovered, how much was transferred to the Federation account? We don't have information about that. And that's why I just felt like, I'm deliberately dividing your operation to because your submission on 2015 to 2020 is more robust than this. That's what I'm trying to understand. Is it that you don't have records of activities for that period?
No, Mr. Chairman, we have all the records. These are monetary recoveries from 2003 to 2014. I believe the summary here includes both direct and indirect recoveries. But there are recoveries that comes to us either through our recovery account or through cash recoveries. Indirect recoveries has to do with recoveries that goes directly to the victim. As I said during my last session with you, Mr. Chairman, if you remember, I was saying that we have a lot of recoveries, for instance, for customs, for MPA that goes directly to them. But they are recoveries that we normally record. And I assure you that if given the opportunity, we'll go back and come up with details regarding all these figures.
Okay, we will need that. Then I need to ask a question concerning the custody of recoveries. Because what you've described now gives the impression that you have non-government recoveries, which are individual recoveries belonging to state.
Yes.
Do you keep both in the same account, or they are separate accounts for government recoveries and then another one for non-government?
They are recoveries, Mr. Chairman. We consider everybody to be a victim in that regard. Whether you are an individual, whether you are a corporate entity, whether you are a state government or federal government, you are all victims of crimes. What matters is the final restitution to the victim. Regarding the federal government, for instance, all recoveries goes to the consolidated revenue funds after the final forfeiture. Regarding individual states, they mention the accounts where those monies are being transferred to them. And individuals also, the same thing applies to their recoveries as well. When it comes to issues, there was a time within the life of the Commission up to now in some certain instances where bank drafts are being recovered as well. So in that regard, exhibits are being released, to the victim as recovered. And in all of that, we tend to summarize them as part of the recoveries that we have made as well.
Okay, we're going to need more information because our concern is not about individual recoveries.
Yes.
It's about what has accrued to government and their utilization.
No, certainly.
So we'll need more information regarding that. So please,
no problem. The records are there for the figures.
So we need to have that record.
We'll give you the record.
So you need to send us an updated record, especially for this year.
We will.
Then let's talk about auctions. How does EFCC auction non-cash assets, non-cash forfeited assets?
As at now, there are two guiding documents: the EFCC Establishment Act and the regulation as 2019 regulation that the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation made. It is very clear regarding the processes, and in the EFCC, it is the Commission Secretary that normally anchors such auction exercise. I'm not aware whether we have done many. The Director of Asset for Future is here. I think the last one we did was done and monies were remitted duly into the consolidated.
When was the last auction done by the EFCC?
2019.
So how are such assets valued? How do you agree at what?
Valuers were engaged. Ministry of Works, for instance, when it comes to those instances, and procedures were followed. I wasn't a member of that committee, but I think the Director Asset for Future is here if you need more explanation regarding how they carried out that exercise. But it was done. The monies were all paid into the EFCC recovery account, and I think we have moved the money into the consolidated revenue funds.
Then you need to explain a little bit. Is EFCC involved in plea bargain?
Plea bargain?
Plea bargain, yes.
Yes.
How does it operate?
Well, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act has certain provisions on plea bargain. Normally, in the EFCC, we also have our own guiding principles regarding that. We don't normally initiate plea bargains. Ours is to identify who committed a crime, how the crime was committed, and what crime was committed. At the end of it all, we charge to court to go and present our case. Normally, it is the defense, through their counsel, that approach us that they want a plea bargain. That means they want to bargain for a lesser sentence at the end of the conviction. And we normally have our own criteria that we normally follow. Before agreeing to any plea bargain, we will ensure that the process of crime is fully recovered and that it is in the interest of the EFCC and the general public for us to enter into it. And then, of course, an agreement is signed, and then we'll go back to the court to implement, and then judgment is being given, and conviction is secured as well.
Okay, comparing plea bargain with prosecution, which one do you think has been the most beneficial to the EFCC?
Well, they are all prosecutions. They are all prosecutions. If you look at it, there are several things to consider. The cost of the prosecution, the length of time involved, we have the problems associated with high number of cases in the dockets of the judges, etc., etc. And then, of course, the remorsefulness of the suspect or the defendant are all things that are being considered. Most importantly is the fact that we tend to have full recoveries before we agree to it. And we also tend to push for custodial sentence, even if it is for 1 year, at least. In some instances, we even agree to 6 months. But we tend to insist on custodial sentence so that at least it will serve as deterrence to others to know that, yes, despite that, you have entered into plea bargain, which is bargain for you to have lesser sentences, at least you are being punished for committing that crime. Very important and very key to what we try to achieve.
Does the EFCC maintain account with commercial banks?
Before, yes. Now, I doubt much. None.
Now, no.
None.
Okay, great. Members, please. Yes, go ahead.
The issue of drawings from recovery account.
Yes, sir.
How do you see it?
Withdrawals in the recovery accounts.
Yes.
Only recoveries account, proceeds goes to that account. Steps have already been taken to ensure that only amounts or funds that are recovered are in the EFCC recovery account. And then afterwards, depending on what is determined in court, funds are now moved to either interim for future account or final for future account. And then from the final for future account to the consolidated revenue funds. What happened initially, which I was trying to explain to you, was the fact that because operations accounts were also being put in that recovery account, that was why you are able to see some certain drawings for some certain activities of EFCC. But they are strictly restricted to the inflows into that account, and that is what is being moved out. The recoveries in that recovery account are being given to the victims as at when due, when it comes to individual victims, corporate entities, etc. We have the records to show, the drawings from there, as well as, of course, if it is to the government, to the interim for future account, and then, of course, to the final for future account.
Chairman, sir, I'm very sorry, Chairman, I'm sorry. The issue now is that it will be very, very difficult for us to determine what a recovery fund is and operation fund is. It is to be very necessary for the committee to scrutinize and look at it to determine what is really recovery, because it's not an account just go into and spend money from there. It's not an expenditure account.
No, it's not.
It's not an expenditure account, but you have said here that monies are being drawn from the place. Operation monies are paying to the place. So how do you distinguish the operation money and recovery money?
Very, very simple, distinguished honorable members. There are monies there, reconciliations have taken place. We have the records here to show which one is for what, and the records are there. The DFA, assuming he's allowed to explain, he could have explained that. But I want to assure you that we can provide you with all the records, with a covering letter forwarding to you what monies are for operations, the inflows and the outflows in terms of operations into that account, as well as the inflows and outflows in terms of recoveries into that same account. One thing about accounts, honorable members, is that the figures are there. It can be traced, it can be analyzed. There is no ambiguity there. It's not going to be anything difficult to do.
Yes, I agree with you, but the thing is that it is against financial regulation. Number two, this recovery account, the Accountant General used to borrow money from that recovery account. Is that normal? Is that normal?
Honorable, I don't know what you mean by the Accountant General used to borrow money. Can you be specific?
I think at this point, is your DFA a staff of EFCC or is seconded from the Office of the Accountant General?
He's seconded from the Office of the Accountant General.
In that case, we need to put him on note because we'll need to ask him questions. And Deputy Clerk, please put the DFA on note.
As the chairman was saying earlier on, all monies into the recovery account is kept in the recovery account. And in that recovery account is not only federal government recovered funds in the account, it's a multidimensional funds.
Is it an administrative account?
No, it's a recovery account that will house all recovery irrespective of whoever is a victim, whether ministries, agencies, state government, private companies, and all what have you. The money is warehoused into that account.
Okay, how long have you been in EFCC? How long have you been?
2nd July 2020 to date. Yes,
because I have questions that precedes that date. Well, some of the.
Yes,
why would you pay salary advance from recovery account?
Okay, let me bring you backward. As of 2015, when federal government issued a circular that all government funds should move into the treasury account. That's a directive. But before that time, the recovery account was maintained in various other commercial banks, vis-a-vis EcoBank, Access Bank, Heritage Bank, UBA. These are where this recovery account was maintained. By the order of federal government that all government monies should move away from the commercial bank to the TSA, the monies were transferred to the TSA in the last quarter of 2015, and thereby in 2016, the Commission of Financial Crime Commission has written to the Accountant General that these monies are not purely money meant for the government, for federal government. It's all recovery for the whole country, irrespective of whoever is the victim. So that money was transferred back to the recovery account of the EFCC in 2 tranches in 2016. On 10th March 2016, 8.8 billion thereabout was transferred back to the recovery account maintained by the CBN. 13 May 2016, another balance of 16.5 billion thereabout was also transferred back to the recovery account that was maintained or is even maintained now by the CBN. And the question that you have some salaries, other expenditures that took place there, is that as at that time, that's the only account the EFCC had, apart from the Give Me's account, whereby there are releases, transfers from the Office of the Accountant General as part of operational expenses for the EFCC. And that's the only account the EFCC had. So those transfers were now credited into that account, into the recovery account. So from that 2016, 2017...
Is that proper accounting? I'm trying to understand you.
Yes.
Because this is not the problem of the chairman of EFCC.
No,
this is your problem.
That's what, I'm just telling you what this is what transpires. But for proper or not proper is not proper. But actually this is what transpires. Mr. Chairman, sir, this is for whether proper or not proper is not proper. But actually this is what transpires. Other activities, other funds that are meant to fast-track the operational activities of the Commission were credited into the account because that's the only account the Commission had before around 2018 when operational account was opened by CBN. But before then, that's the only account the Commission had, and all those monies, whether recovery or any transfer from the Office of Accountant General for the operational activities of the EFCC is now domiciled into that account. And from there, you have expenditure going on as per the record you have seen in the bank statement there. And I also want to tell you, when you check February, 4th February 2016, that's why you can have 84,293,012 naira 11 kobo was transferred from the Office of the Accountant General to the recovery account as per operational activities of the Commission. You also have on the 30th of June 2016, 19,700,000. On the 10th of June 2016, there's an intervention fund from Office of National Security Advisor, 100 million, transferred also into the recovery account for the operational activities of the Commission. Then on the 28th of December 2016...
I think we don't need all that details. You've answered my question,
yes,
and I need to go back to the chairman.
Okay, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Nigerians are curious to know about what is regarded as the NIA fund. Where is this money? The NIA recovery.
As you know, after the seizure of the funds, the EFCC applied for the interim forfeiture of the funds, and thereafter final forfeiture was secured. But all through during the time of these processes, the monies were being kept with the Central Bank of Nigeria, and it was transferred to and it has been transferred to the federal government account. So as it is today, is with the federal government of Nigeria.
That's in the forfeiture account or in another account?
No, in the final forfeiture account, I don't know precisely where the funds are, whether we have moved it to the consolidated revenue funds. But what I do know, Mr. Chairman, is that the monies are in an account with the Central Bank of Nigeria. What I don't know whether it has been transferred to consolidated revenue funds.
I'm going to pass you a document, and I want you to look at item number 16 there and find out if it's actually a proper destination.
Okay. I've seen it.
Is that supposed to be the destination?
No, these are just summaries of recoveries.
No, item number 16.
Yes.
Where you see what you wrote at item number 16 is where it is now.
Okay, the NSA.
Where you put beneficiary.
Okay. Well, I don't know, honestly. I have to verify this and come back to you. Yes.
And the reason I'm drawing your attention to all this is
but the last column,
you need to be looking at documents.
Mr. Chairman, if I can tell you, the last column there,
you
can see the beneficiary of it.
That's what I'm saying. Should that be the beneficiary?
Yeah, that is the beneficiary. Whether or not this second to the last column is where it's supposed to be is another thing. But ultimately, the beneficiary is the federal government.
Okay, so you need to we need to rearrange that document.
Yes.
So that because where we have documents that are conflicting with facts.
Yes.
It undermines even the EFCC.
Certainly.
I have another page. Yes, the other one has to do with the Diezani jewelries.
Yes.
Are they still in your custody or they've been turned into cash?
No. They are in our custody. It has not been auctioned yet.
Oh, the jewelries are. So, I mean, is it safer to keep them in your custody if they've been finally forfeited or to just auction them?
No, they have been finally forfeited, just like houses and vehicles, etc., etc. And the Commission is looking forward to the Presidential Committee to auction all those items and then deposit the money appropriately into...
When did you get this forfeiture order?
We got it, I think, sometime in 2019, if I remember, yeah.
I mean, given the financial situation of Nigeria, shouldn't we auction these things fast and put the money to use?
A lot of processes hindered, a lot of events, hindered us to proceed with that, as you are aware, sir. We couldn't move on to some of these things because of certain things that happened, but now that the federal government has set up the committee, we are praying that it will come to an end very soon, when all the items are auctioned and sold. Not only that
okay, I think members are keen to know the total value of those jewelries. It's on the paper, so can you please read it out for their own
benefit?
The
estimated values that we have. Is the estimated
that's the value of one person's jewelry.
The estimated value in Naira was given at 14,460,000,000 Naira. Yes.
I think, I want you to repeat that because members didn't like...
Is the estimated value that we have, yes.
No, can you tell us the figure again?
14,460,000,000.
Is it for houses, for cars, or for jewelry?
No, for jewelry.
For jewelry alone?
Yes.
14 billion?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, please.
Yes, sir.
What about the value of the houses and cash, if you are in the position to set it out, please?
It's about $80 million. $80 million.
Why are you scared of money?
Estimated values.
Why are you people acting like you are hearing figures and you're all getting scared?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eh? Why should it scare you? I mean, if a woman is bold, why are you so scared?
Okay, that will take me to another question, sir. Can I continue? The vessels seized, were they with products or they are not with products?
Some are with products, some are not with products.
Some are with products, some are without products, and you can differentiate them.
So what?
I think we're there with the issue of the vessels at our last session.
All right.
And then ask questions concerning the products and the sales.
Okay. Okay.
I'm going to take time out to probably set up it is a subcommittee, a technical committee, because we want to fiscally take a look at some of these items to know their state. The reason is this: if you have an asset and it's worth 14 billion, and some of them could be deteriorating assets, we need to be sure that they're still in such a fit and proper state. Or, if we keep keeping them, they're going to go. I'm sure you have cars that were seized. So every day you have a forfeited car, you're losing value. Why does it take so long to turn this asset into cash to fund the budget?
Several factors, Mr. Chairman. The court processes and procedures, is chief among them, that requires, a very lengthy time of us to dispose onto this. Other issues, administrative exchanges, etc., etc. But what I want to assure the committee is that since when I come on board, we have resolved that going forward, we are going to be dealing with these issues on case-by-case basis. We are not going to have it the way we used to have it again. And we are happy with the committee set up by the federal government to dispose not only the assets that we seized, but also the assets that other agencies have seized. I believe once that exercise is over, the line is already drawn. We will be left with the new issues that will come on board, and I believe we are going to deal with them heads-on case-by-case basis, so that there will not be any need next year or 2 years, in 2 years' time, or in 5 years' time, for the House to set up this type of committee again, for them to investigate the status of this, because we will be dealing with them as per the cases that were being done with in court.
I know, as a matter of fact, that some properties somewhere on Abacha Road in Port Harcourt were seized more than 15 years ago. Those properties were seized by EFCC. I think the people that were involved were convicted, and some of them have actually served their jail terms and are out. Because of the fact that those properties have been left there, I understand that one or two of those that were convicted and have come out of prison are trying to find ways to recover those properties. Now, Chairman, part of the reason why this committee was set was to hope we can find a way of managing such things. In your opinion, what do you think is the best way to deal with? I don't know if you know those properties. There are some high-rise buildings somewhere on off Abacha Road in Port Harcourt. Moody's case, Union Bank, blah, blah, blah. Do you have an advice for this committee going forward on how to manage such things? Because that is total waste.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, Honorable Member, for this question. As I said, Mr. Chairman, the primary solution to this problem is to deal with these issues on case-by-case basis. As the court is making pronouncement, we ought to have taken steps to dispose of these assets immediately and do what we have to do by restituting the victims of these crimes. And I want to assure this committee that going forward, that is what the EFCC stands for, and that is what we are going to do, God willing, to ensure that these cases are being dealt with on case-by-case basis. But on the specific issue that you asked in terms of Manuel Nwude, as you are aware, it has to do with the Brazilian bank, fraud of 242 million. I know that the EFCC, based on the records, we dealt with the Nigerian assets. And to the best of my recollection, I have not refreshed my memory regarding that. We have succeeded in doing that, and restitution was made to the victim of the crime, which is the bank. But I will inquire to know whether or not we still have some of these assets that you have said that have not been, disposed of, and then, of course, restituted back to the victim of the fraud. Thank you very much.
Now, where the issue of transparency is, when, for any reason, if EFCC is seen not to be as transparent as it should be, this will affect this corporation. What steps are you taking to raise the EFCC to such a level that to get easier collaboration and easier cooperation with agencies outside Nigeria?
Well, Mr. Chairman, the EFCC have always been transparent. Our books are always open for relevant authorities to come and deal with these issues. Yes, down the years, we have some challenges regarding keeping of these records. There is no doubt about it, and that is why we are here. What I want to assure you is that going forward, we have started the process of embracing technology. As I said during my Senate hearing, we are going to digitalize our processes. By pressing of a button, we should be able to get any records that we want, irrespective of what activity that the EFCC is doing. And we are working tirelessly to ensure that that happens. We are already on rebirth, we are already on renewal. Nigerians are aware of it, the international community are aware of it. We have done so many things, in the last few weeks to restore that confidence. I told the committee 2 days ago that we set up 4 new departments. We have set up a Department of Intelligence. We used to, the Department of Operations used to also be the department, that gather intelligence for us. Now we have 2 separate departments. We have the Department of Operations and that of Intelligence, with the sole aim of, gathering this intelligence so that the EFCC will be carrying out its activities based on what we call intelligence-driven investigation. We want to have this intelligence to be able to allow us gather as much information as possible before arrest. We have upgraded the procurement unit into a full-fledged department. And what that entails is that they are competing with other departments. And the whole idea is for that department to be the living manifestation of procurement laws in this country. We already have 95% rating, but we are going for higher. We want to be 100%, in terms of that. We have also upgraded the department of, the unit of internal affairs into a full-fledged department. We want at the end of the year to have 0 query from even our internal auditors, before even the external audit is taking place. And that is the whole idea. We are expected to be above board. We have always been above board, but we want to maintain being above board. And then, of course, we also upgraded the ICT unit into a full-fledged department. They have their presence everywhere. But we feel that with the way we are going, the way we want to embrace technology, that we need to upgrade the unit into a full-fledged department. We are going on digital transformation. And I want to assure the chairman and the committee, and indeed the House of Reps and Nigerians, that going forward, EFCC is going to be different. It is already different now, but Nigerians is going to be better for it. Thank you.
Well, my question is related to, the one you just took. It has to do, I'm sure you heard the phrase, looting the loot. I'm sure you've heard that.
Yes.
What step are you taking to restore the confidence of Nigerians in the fight against corruption by the federal government?
Mr. Chairman, the people can say all sorts of things, but there's nothing like looting the loot. There is no loot that has been looted. We should know that, we should be clear about it. And what I want to assure Nigerians is that we are young men and women. Nigeria is the only country that we have, and we don't need anybody to come from the sky to come and solve our problems. We are determined to do our best. We know our mandate, and we are going to pursue those goals and objectives of the Commission with the guidance of rule of law and, of course, respect for the fundamental human rights of all. Action speaks louder than words. Let me not be saying a lot as if I'm vying for any elective post, but then of course our actions are going to speak for ourselves in the next couple of weeks. I assure you of that. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we'll liaise with your office, with your own president to inspect some of the assets and then to see their status. We'll take pictures, cars, vehicles, and so we need to know their present state so that it will form part of our report. So we will set up a clerical committee, and then I think we'll expect that 1 or 2 persons from your office will work with them to ensure that we'll get all that.
Mr. Chairman, your committee is welcome at any time. Just give us a head stop. As I said, we have a directorate that is in charge of asset for future recoveries and management. We have our internal audit department that will assist you, and of course the Director of Finance and Account. You are always welcome, and just let us know the locations that you want to visit. I will suggest that you visit Port Harcourt, I will suggest that you visit Lagos, and of course Abuja. These are the 3 centers that have most of these things that you would like to see when it comes to the issue of vessels, so recoveries that has to do with illegal dealing in petroleum products, as well as other real estate assets across the 3 jurisdictions that I've mentioned. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, our invited guests, members of the press, we are going to have to draw today's session to a close shortly. We'll thank the chairman for coming. We'll thank everybody who's been part of this. this investigative hearing will close today, but we'll still continue with the investigation because we're still going to have other sessions. We have invited the governor of Central Bank to appear before us sometimes next week. We've invited the chairman of Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency because we need to understand how they manage the assets that they recover. And then I think that, in the course of our looking into documents that have been submitted to us over the past few days, we might need to invite some other persons, either in the form of a public hearing or in committee meetings, but definitely this investigation hasn't closed. We've done well over the past few days, and we wish to thank all of you, especially members of the press. You've been excellent. I mean, we know how tough things are, and we know how inconvenient it has been for you to be with us. You've been perfect. You've been superb. We believe that you're making sacrifices for nation building. You're making sacrifices trying to support the parliament and Nigerians to actually make this country better for ourselves and for our children. May God bless all of you. So please, can somebody move a motion for adjournment?
No, I think we have come to the end of that. Already the federal government have taken the initiative of setting up a committee under the chairmanship of the Solicitor General of the Federation. And I think they are working tirelessly to ensure that assets that are not only recovered by the EFCC, but the entirety of recovery agencies are being disposed of. We have a representative from the EFCC in that committee, and we believe at the end of the day, Nigerians are going to appreciate what that committee will come out with in terms of the mandate given to them.
So we don't have a time as to when this assets will be disposed?
I am not a member of that committee, so I think you should direct your question to the Solicitor General, who is the chairman of that committee, in respect of how soon they are going to dispose of the assets.
How do you see the way this committee have handled their job so far?
Well, they are doing a good job. The legislators are out there to know the process and procedures, and of course to look at the existing laws, and improve on them for the betterment of how we do our things and how other related agencies are doing their things. And we believe that we will come out better with the activities of the committee. You know the concept of democracy. You have the judiciary, you have the executive, and of course you have the legislature. And when the legislator asks that you come and say what you have to say. We don't have anything to hide. It's part of what will entrench our democracy in the minds of all Nigerians. So we are happy to be here. We have always been happy to be here, and we'll continue to come to the National Assembly to account for not only what we are doing now, but what our predecessors have done, because government, public servants come and go, but the institution remains. So, of course, you can see from the caption even of the committee, they are looking at 2002 to 2020, and you are all aware that I'm less than 3 months on the job. So, but I have to be here, on behalf of the EFCC, and I think things have been cleared up. There is no ambiguity anywhere. The records are there. Where they need more clarifications, we are going back to get the records sent to them.